What is our First Amendment? What does it do? What would life be like without it? Every day, brave men and women fight on the battlefield. What do they fight for? What is important enough to lose your life for? These brave soldiers fight for everyday people, like you and me. Soldiers fight for the things we take for granted every day. They understand the importance of them. Over 200 years ago, the Bill of Rights was created. And with it, one of the most important amendments was created, the First Amendment. The freedoms of speech, press, religion, assembly, and petition. These 5 freedoms are what the United States of America is built on. But what would happen if the First Amendment was never made? Let's start with the freedom of speech. Unpopular opinions would never be heard out of fear of retribution. Imagine a world where speeches like Martin Luther King Jr.'s "I Have a Dream,"
I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream.
never existed. Next comes the freedom of press. Without it, newspapers, magazines, and other printed matter would have to be approved by the government. Journalists would fear repercussions, so they wouldn't tell the public the whole truth about everything. Eventually, the public would only hear what the government wants them to hear. After the freedom of press comes the freedom of religion. If the freedom of religion were to disappear, people could be prosecuted for the religions that they follow. Could you imagine a place where religious persecutions happen? Could you imagine a place where people die for their beliefs? Luckily enough, we don't have any of this in the United States. Next comes the freedom of assembly. Without the freedom of assembly, things like protesting would be illegal. Problems such as segregation were weakened because of protests. But if protesting were illegal, then these problems would still exist today. Lastly is the freedom to petition. Without it, we the people would not be able to change how the government governs. Even the Declaration of Independence started out as a petition. Life in the United States would be very difficult without any of these freedoms. Luckily enough, we have brave soldiers who have fought and are fighting for our freedoms. They fight for our First Amendment. They fight for our Bill of Rights. They fight for our Constitution. And they fight for the United States of America.